And I'm going to go 3/4 just so you can see me from the side and from the front. Shift the weight from foot to foot, letting yourself find a place where the hips feel really supportive. And for me, that's wider than a Tadasana might usually look. And then slow down the shifting and let the pelvis land on top of the ankles and feel how the shoulders land on top of that. And then imagine you've got 2 big, thick TheraBands, so big, heavy rubber bands that they use in physical therapy attached to your ankles. You grab them and start to stretch them forward. And notice how you have to use your whole body to do this movement. Let the whole front of the body open. Push the feet down and notice how that can facilitate. And then as you slowly release, you're still holding the rubber bands, they're pulling you back to neutral. Shift the weight into the right foot and let the left foot lift as effortlessly as possible. And then try that again. Put the foot down, lift the TheraBands really dramatically, and then shift the weight to the other foot and let that action just unweight the foot so naturally. Take a few of these on your own and try to feel how effortlessly that leg can lift. Kind of like the clamshells where you didn't want to feel the big muscles lifting the leg. See if you can feel that level of subtlety. For me, I know I'm doing it wrong if I feel my hip flexors turn on. And if you want to layer onto this, actually first, if it feels like too much, just try lifting the heel, right? If you need to find like, oh, I'm overdoing it, just lift the heel. If you want a little bit more, you can take some of those half crow poses, right? And the idea here is that our body's getting used to this shape and used to finding it with a sense of ease from all these different directions, so that when we do it with the weight in our hands, it's really familiar, right? And there's no tension, right? Like there's no tension right now, there's not going to be any tension later. The next time the left foot lifts, cross it in front of the right, bend the knee a little bit, and then let the whole right side lengthen for a little counter pose. Try to press evenly into both feet. Sometimes it can feel good to squeeze the thighs together just a little bit and draw that strength up through the spine. You can bring the left hand to the hip and add a little shearing by pointing the heart up and down, and just notice how this changes the sensations through the right side of the body all the way down to that right ankle. And then let the hips push to the right a little bit like a rubber band stretching, and then spring back and see if you can lift that left leg. Maybe take a moment in crow. And then set the foot down. We'll take a couple of pulses, lifting the rubber bands into the back bend and then shifting the other way. Try to find that flow. And remember, you can always just lift the heel. This practice is just for you. No one's watching, but you know how it feels. And the next time the right foot lifts, step it in front of the left. Let the left toes turn any direction that feels comfortable in the left leg. And then gently start to bend the front knee. Make sure the knees and ankles on both legs feel safe. And lengthen through the whole left side of the body now. Soft shoulder. Right hand to hip, anchor down through the left ankle and breathe through that whole left side. And then gently start to rotate, point the heart down, and then shine the heart up. Make sure you feel spacious through the joints. If you've gone too far into the side bend, the rotation won't feel good, so you might need to come out a little bit. And then press the hips over to the side, loading that spring, and let it pull you back to center. Set the foot down and just pause for a moment. Start to bounce. Let all the tension leave your body. Okay, we're ready. We did crow pose from every different dimension possible besides the one that you know. So we're going to do it now. We're going to have lots of options. Here's the rules. What you do has to feel really good. It can't build any tension. So please be humble. Make sure you're breathing, and just roll right onto your back whenever you need a break. So the first way we're going to approach this is my absolute favorite, and so you can just choose to stick with it for the whole rest of the time. Instead of going into crow and holding, we're going to play with little frog leaps, where you squat forward and push into the hands to jump backwards like a little kid. And the beauty of these frog leaps is as you push down into the hands, you'll feel the strength go right into your deep core. It doesn't matter how high the legs lift. Make sure you're breathing. And you can try it. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. It's kind of like coming down into Malasana and then pushing into the hands to lift. Nice. And when you make it to the back of the mat, if Malasana is a comfortable position for you, you can pause and breathe. If it's not a comfortable position, you can place the hips all the way down, take a little break. And then we have to make our way to the center of the mat, so you've got two options. You can take a crab walk to the center, or you can reverse frog hop. This is called a monkey, where you pull yourself forward, and that's going to engage the muscles a little differently. And then from the center of the mat, mandatory lie down, but you have to do it in a really fun way, where you find this kind of crow, and then you roll. And see if you can roll all the way up and find it again. And if that's engaging your hip flexors or creating any strain, just roll nice and easy, and then make your way onto your back. And if that's fun, you can keep doing any of those things, the frog hops, the monkeys, the rolls. If you need a little break at this point, you could do, actually let's all do some of those open books, just to find that sense of ease. This is the energy that we want to bring. And so if you notice that those movements we just did were creating tension, you are totally welcome to stay here in this sense of ease. Let's roll onto the back and take a moment in bridge pose. This is the most perfect counter pose for crow, where you really get to open through the front of the body. And just breathe. Release the spine down. And then roll up. You've got two options. You can do the same little flip. Yeah, let's just do that. You can do the little flip from before, where you cross the ankles. And then grab your blanket. Place it in front of you. This will be a nice little crash pad, but no one's going to be crashing, but just in case. And then I like to come onto blocks. And so you can place your feet on blocks. And this is going to make it easier to shift your, there's two blocks right there, your center of gravity. And you get to be a little gargoyle for a moment, which is kind of fun. And so take a moment to let the knees come wide, and then lower the hands to the space underneath the shoulders. Find those soft hands that we've been practicing. Start to breathe in to the back of the body and push the pinky down into the floor. And just notice how the breath travels down into the belly. Feel the integration of the arms into the core. You can stay right here, or you can play with lifting the hips and starting to feel how the knees squeeze into the triceps, just like we practiced from so many different positions. And then rock back, lift the arms, and give yourself a little break. And just take a couple of pulses like this so that you don't stay in one shape too long. That's when you kind of get in trouble, where you're like, come out of it after a couple of minutes and you're like, whoa, I don't feel good. And then as you pulse here, if you're starting to feel like, oh, my upper body feels really supportive, I kind of want to play a little, you can pause and just lift one foot and then come right back into that lifting up movement, graceful gargoyle, I'm going to call it. And then if lifting one foot is going well, you can try lifting both feet. And then bring them back down and just keep it fluid. If you are in crow, make sure you're breathing. Squeeze the feet together, squeeze triceps into the shins. If it's going really well and you want a little more, try pushing a little extra into the hands and lifting the heels towards the glutes. And then let enough be enough. Oh, good idea. Yeah, you can stand and you can have really cool platform shoes for a moment. Oh, that's great. Grab your TheraBands and do a nice TheraBand stretch. I'm so tall, I'm out of the frame right now. I used to actually have platforms about this tall when I was little. And then release the hands down and just pause at center. And notice any blood flow through the body, any energy circulating. And go for another little walk. And just observe. You might feel light and springy. You might feel a little tense. Try not to have any judgment. But let the action of walking help your state. Use this to soothe, to massage, to rebalance. High five someone or pet your dog.